When you get a control pattern. So what we're doing here is showing you how we teach the preliminary stages of the hold and bark exercise. Now this is something that you can do on your own with your dog in the very beginning. Now take note, when you're working your own dog like I was here, I'm working him in his prey drive. This is the actual prey item. I usually have it on a long line, which allows me to twirl it, spin it, throw it around. And the reason being is I want to keep the defense drives to a minimal. He should actually enjoy the work if he's working with me. He should not feel threatened, he should not feel concerned. And what it is I'm gonna tap into the prey drive, get the lunge, bark, do as usual, and then from there, I'm gonna slowly move in towards the dog. Now take note, now this is the dog already finished, but it's just to give you an example. When I move in, what I'm looking for is the dog not lunging. If he's still lunging, I'll freeze up just for a moment, then I'll really slowly creep in, very, very slowly. Freeze up again, wait for him to stop lunging. Now sometimes what may happen is the dog, because he's not getting satisfaction right away, the drive may start to decrease a little bit. So you may not get as much lunging, you may not get as much barking. That's perfect. That's when we reward the dog with an actual bite. So once again, I'm moving in really slow. So let's say I'm doing this, I'm getting the dog really excited. Now I do this, I freeze up, I walk in super slow. Super slow. The dog will probably be doing this. I'm gonna move in super slow. I'll stop for a moment, see if he actually stops. If he does, I'll move forward a little bit more. If he stops, same thing. As I get fairly close now, provided the dog stays neutral. When I say neutral, he's not hitting the end of the leash. He's actually sitting back, or he's probably not sitting back. Maybe he's standing, but he's not lunging and he's barking. Then I'm gonna deliver the bite. What he's doing is he's actually holding himself back. Eventually, we're gonna progressively work our way into where now the dog is seated and I can actually walk in, and the back tie looks like this. If the back tie is like that, then the dog really hasn't learned much. Now in the beginning stages, we may get a little bit of this, but the dog is not lunging. So I'm gonna actually reinforce the behavior. I'll reward the behavior, because what I'm gonna do is shape it. Following the rules of shaping, we take a little bit and we build upon that. Then in time, when I move in and I stop, the dog, sometimes through frustration, will actually sit back. Once he sits back, it's very important that you deliver that bite immediately. Let's try another session and watch it, see how Max or Flex, responds to the work. So I'm gonna tap into the prey drive, keeping it fun. Dog is lunging, jumping around. Now I'm gonna grab my prey item and I'm gonna move in slowly. Now again, this is a finished dog, so you see how fast he puts it together. He's holding, and the bite. Yeah, a little bit of tug of war to reward the dog. Good boy, yeah, very good. Sit. Very nice. So once again, down. What I'm doing is I'm tapping into the prey drive, get the dog very excited. Then from there, I'm gonna grab my tug or my sleeve. Now I tend to use the new revolutionary sleeve. This is the same sleeve that I use when I'm working other dogs as a decoy. Now take note, I never put my arm inside the sleeve. The reason being is I find sometimes when we do that, it changes the dynamics of the game. Now what happens is some dogs get a little tentative, it can create a little bit of conflict. So what I do is I'm gonna hold it either by the line that I put on here, or I might hold it by the handle here. And this way, the dog views it like a big toy, and it helps to keep the dog fairly comfortable. Remember, we try not to work the dog in its defense drive. Try to keep him in his prey drive as much as possible. So we keep the defense to a minimal by showing him the toy, we call it. Then from there, I take my sleeve and I slowly start to advance towards the dog. Now, as I'm advancing towards the dog, what I'm looking for, again, is a little bit of slack in the back tie, or for at least the dog not lunging out. If there's a little bit of tension in the line, but he's barking and he's staying low, I'll come in, I'll even reward that. Then we'll play for a little bit. Then we're gonna go back, we're gonna try the same thing again. And what we're looking for eventually is for the dog to actually rock back into seated position and bark with a little bit of belly in the line. But it does take some time and patience. And what I tend to do is sometimes let the drive deflate a bit. So once the drive deflates, you're not gonna get the lunging, and the barking may not be as strong, but that's okay. If he's holding, and you'll be able to tell, if he's holding, he seems a little bit more relaxed, then we reward the dog with the actual bite. So dependent on where the dog is would dictate how far and fast you move towards the dog. If it's a very new dog to the game, it's a beginner, after we do a little bit of the prey engagement, we freeze up, we start to advance slowly. Now, once again, you don't want that dog hitting the end of the line. If he is, you kind of freeze up for a moment. Then if he settles for a little bit, we start to advance a little bit. He starts to hit the end of the line, we freeze up for a little bit. Once you get close enough and he neutralizes where he's not hitting the end of the line and he's still maintaining a bark, boom, you give him a bite to reward the behavior. And if he's not barking, let's say consistently, bark, 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 but maybe it's like bark, bark, because what happens is they go into conflict. He wants that bite. But at the same time, what is happening is he's forgetting he has to bark. So you'll find sometimes the drive will come down. When that happens, that's okay, provided you're getting some type of noise from him and he's not hitting the end of that line so hard, we'll reward the behavior. And then, like I said, it'll get to the level where you can move right in, the dog will automatically rock back into a seated position, hold the bark, at which time we give him the bite. Now, for some dogs, and again, some of the really strong prey-driven dogs, we may have to help them. So we might end up employing the use of the prong collar. I use like the really large link prong collar, the 4.0, and we'll double rig it, meaning that we'll attach it to both rings. Instead of using the harness, what will happen is by having him on the prong, it's gonna block some of that prey drive. So with the prong now, what happens is we have the prong on the dog, we attach our line, and you bring him right out to the end of the line, like what I did here. So this way, once you put the dog in drive, he doesn't hit the end of the line really hard, which is gonna make him a little concerned. You bring him out to the end of the line, and then you get him excited. Then you'll see, this dog now, even the really strong prey-driven dogs, they're gonna hold back just a little bit, which makes it a little bit easier for him in the way of learning now that he's gotta sit back a bit or relax before he gets the bite. Because sometimes with these dogs, if they're on a harness or a flat collar, they feel quite comfortable, they're very empowered. So they don't think, they just throw their body out there. What we wanna do for them is block some of that drive, some of that inertia. So we can do that by employing the use of the large link prong collar, double rig. So not on the live ring where he gets a live correction. So the two rings at the back of the prong, you attach them via the actual trigger on the leash, bring them out to the line, have them on a sit or a down, and then you start. Or if again the obedience is not at that level for the bite work, you just put them in drive right away at the end of the line. You get out there, you grab your toy, you get them excited. Again, start with the prey drive and then you start to move in slowly, very slowly. And you get them to relax. We want that drive to neutralize. Once that happens and you see that he's not hitting the end of the leash, boom, we reward him. Hey, good boy, yeah! All right, now we grab our sleeve, we come on in, nice and slow. Let's take a look at our back tie line. Let's see how much slack we have. And you see right now the bark is a little interrupted. Not as fluent, but he's still barking. Right there, boom. Then he gets a bite. There you go. Let's fix that grip. Oh, there we go. Good boy. Yeah, good boy. Sit. Good. Down. Good boy, buddy. Good job. So, I don't know if you caught that. When I got really close to flex, the bark got a little interrupted. Found that it wasn't as fluent, it wasn't flowing. The reason being, he went into a bit of conflict. He was actually thinking about biting, so he wasn't thinking about barking in order to get the bite. He was just really thinking about biting. So you found you didn't get that nice fluent bark. However, now if it was a beginner dog, boom, we reward. Now I still rewarded him just for the video, but let's say at his level, typically I wouldn't reward. Sometimes I might even jump back and re-stimulate him and teach him. You gotta remember to bark in order to get the bite. It's called a hold and bark. It's two different behaviors. One is barking and one is holding himself back. So instead of you during training holding the dog back by posting up, now he's learning to mentally hold himself back. And it's one of the more difficult exercises to teach, because all this time at the beginning, we're teaching the dog to run and bite, or to just take a bite, take a bite, take a bite, but never getting him to hold himself back before getting the bite. So with that said, it puts a lot on the dog mentally. Now, you can help him by doing it on your own. This again is preliminary work that I do with all my dogs. So this way, when they get in front of the decoy, it's a whole lot easier. With the decoy now, it's no different. If you're using the decoy just to get started, what would happen is the sleeve obviously is gonna be on the decoy's arm, and then he'll do his usual, get him excited, and then he's gonna walk in slowly, the same way you walked in, just like that. It's no different. The only difference is it's a decoy. So that can make it a little bit more challenging, only because if he's used to biting this guy and it's not you who is the alpha, you may find that he's gonna feel very empowered and he may feel relentless. He just doesn't care. So that makes it a little bit more challenging. Hence the reason some of the dogs, we might back tie them on the large link prong, double rig. So this way we can block some of that prey drive. But really and truly, you can do it on your own just to get started. Preliminary work, have them on the back tie. You got your sleeve or your wedge. You could use, like we use the new revolutionary sleeve. The reason being is not only is it a sleeve, it acts as a wedge or a pillow. If you don't have that, you can use a pillow. You can even use a tug. It doesn't really matter. And what you're teaching him is to control the drive. It's almost like capping, control the drive. And once he does that, boom, you reward him, give him a good little fight. Then from there, it's either A, we go into a little bit of obedience. I usually down my dog and out him. Or if it's, again, a younger dog, I might bottle him up, we call it, where we hoist him off the ground a little bit, wait for him to drop it, then we kick it out, and then we start again. I would suggest doing no more than, let's say, 3 to 5, even 5 is pushing it, repetitions per session. Keep it short. What we want is 3 good reps from the dog, maximum 5, and then that's it for that session, because again, it is a little bit more taxing on the dog mentally. And you'll see in no time at all, that dog is gonna pick it up. He's gonna learn that he's gotta control the drive in order to get the bite. And at the same time, what happens is the dog also learns to look up into the helper or into your face, which now, let's say, transmits down the line to the helper, where now when he's in front of the helper doing the same exercise, he's looking in the helper's eyes as opposed to looking at the sleeve. Because really and truly, especially in the trial, the judge is going to be marking him accordingly, and we want to see heavy guarding presence, where he's not guarding a toy, but he's actually guarding the helper. So I hope this really helped you guys in the way of learning the hold and bark, the fundamentals to it. If you loved it, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up. Also hit that notification button so whenever we put out new videos, which I plan on doing a lot in the near future, you're going to be notified. Take care, guys.